Okay, so here are the calculator screenshots for working on that last example in correlation. So first we want to enter our data. So this is the age of the women in the study. In list 1, and then the bone density. And as you're entering these, you want to make sure that each pair is still lined up across from each other. So this was the first woman in our study, 34 years of age, and her bone density was 946. 43 one with 875, and so on. So you don't want to get those out of order. You want to make sure they match up. Okay, so we have our data in our list, and we can quit from there. Go back into Stat, arrow over to Calc, and we'll do 2 variable statistics since we have 2 variables. And I'm going to run list 1 is my independent variable, comma, list 2 is my dependent variable. And if I hit enter, there are all those values that we pulled from. So here's x, sum of x squared, sum of x squared. Down here you will find there's your sum of y and your sum of y squared. If we keep going, there's your sum of xy. So that's where we pulled all those values, and then we just plugged them in to the r squared, or the r formula. And if you need a little bit of help with that, as I mentioned, it's really easy to forget a parenthesis or something very, very small. The way I entered it is I did parenthesis 5 times that first sum minus 242, the sum of x, times 4039. So you don't need excessive parentheses here because the order of operations in a calculator will take care of itself. The calculator knows to multiply before it adds or subtract. Close parenthesis there, that takes care of the numerator. Divide it by, open a parenthesis to distinguish the denominator. We'll have that square root. In some of you, your calculator, the square root pops up with a parenthesis. You just want to remember to close that one before you go on to the next square root. For those of you with 84s or newer operating systems, your square root is going to show up the way mine does here. And so in that first square root, we had 5 times that first sum minus 242 squared. So 5 times the sum of x squared minus sum of x quantity squared. If your screen looks like this, you want to arrow over to get from under the square root to say that you're done with that square root. But if you have the a TI-83, you're going to close parenthesis there to say also that you're finished with that square root. Then we have another square root, and this one would be 5 times that really large number minus 4039 squared. Arrow over or close your parenthesis on the square root and close your parenthesis on the denominator. And that's how we got that negative 0.939. And some of you are probably savvy and notice that there are some other features on your calculator that deal with finding R a little bit faster, and you're welcome to explore those, but I would encourage you to use the formula just so you're familiar with manipulating it. But as far as how we did the example, the last example in correlation, that would be how you would enter things in your calculator.